Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons.
Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. Something we have touched on before, but it is back again, and I want to get your guys' feelings on it. Amber Heard
Uh-huh.
Well,
All right.
taken off of Aquaman 2 now.
Okay.
Are we okay with this? That there was a petition going around. The fans were just like, we hate her. And Warner Brothers was like, yeah, we can't deal with this. She's gone.
You know, every time that the studio listens to the fans, and it's not like a literal, this person has molested or, broken the law
Right.
in some way, it's a little bit weird. I hate when they listen to the fans, but at the same time, I don't think she did a crazy, amazing job anyway in the film, so I'm not sad about it.
she was pretty bad.
She wasn't incredible, so I don't care, but I don't love people being like, oh, well, the fans don't like black people, so we're just going to take them all out of the movie. Like, that's really fucking frustrating.
Yeah, I just do not like the fans being able to dictate who.
Fans don't know what they want.
Well,
And it changes by the week.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as they do their post interviews, as soon as that stuff disappears, just like every other major, like, Mel Gibson's been doing movies again for years, and
Yeah.
everybody, people will stop caring about it at some point because there'll be some new flavor of the week to go, about.
Yeah, and just because they're loud about something doesn't mean it's like no less people are going to go and see Aquaman, no matter who is playing her role. It will be the same people will go, even if they bitch about it, even if they don't bitch about it. The exact same number of people are going to go and see that movie.
After Justice League, her being in it or not has no indication of my not seeing that film.
For sure.
Because I really don't care about. I mean, I like Momoa and all that; he's fun, but
that movie
I have no interest
rough.
in that film.
But still, I just don't. I was fascinated with the trial while it was going on, although it seemed to me very much pretty mean girl meets a horrible drunk, and they were surprised that it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I think we all could have seen this was not
every part I watched, I was like, I feel like I shouldn't be watching this. I feel like this is not my business, and you guys need to sort this out for yourselves. And I'll be stopping now. It's weird, and like obviously they both have problems, and no one's a good guy in this.
Yeah, it's never going to happen because we're too much of a sensationalist society.
Yeah.
There's no reason to have cameras at a court.
Yeah.
Right.
When it's actual legal things being decided with juries and all that stuff.
Yeah. Why did we
don't
see
have
this?
that right or need to know. We can find out what happens from
transcripts,
court reporters, and all that shit. But to have have the cameras running the whole time, it just turns it into a sensational. No matter how good or bad one or the other was, they're all going to look awful.
Yeah.
Because there's just no way around it. It's such an awful relationship.
Yeah.
That's just like, yeah, no, you both suck.
They brought out the worst in each other, and I'm glad they're not together anymore. Good job. I hope they don't get back together.
For sure. For sure. I just don't want to see her lose work because of this. I mean, I want her to lose work based on the fact that she's not a very good actor.
Right.
Fine with that. But I there's just something about this that makes me, I don't know, super uncomfortable.
I hate that it feels like, I don't know whose intentions are what, but it definitely felt like there was a sort of campaign that was existing for a while to get him to lose work.
Yeah.
And so it's very strange to me. Like, I don't want anyone to gain or lose work off of this. They should just either be good at their jobs or not. And I just don't like this whole, okay, well, we got to blacklist this guy because he dated the wrong girl. And we got to blacklist this girl because she was mean to this guy and or dated the wrong person that brought out some bad part of her. Like I don't want to know. You're either good at it or you're not good at it. And if you're breaking law, then don't work.
And if you don't like that person, whatever, don't buy their shit. Don't watch their stuff.
Yeah, that's fine. Exactly.
Yeah. I've dated a couple of women who are kind of mean.
Sure.
Not one of them pooped on my pillow.
I'm sorry for you.
No, I'm saying
disappointed.
I'm saying that I think you got to
wish-
be a certain kind of person to do that.
I think everything about all of that, you have to be a certain kind of person to have any of these life experiences that y'all had. And you know what? I'm glad for my boring life.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Sure.
Quite good with that.
If I have to spend 10 minutes in the bread aisle really trying to decide whether to get the sourdough or, the 9 grain, I'm living my best life right then. I'm not worried about people chopping off my fingers. I'm not worried about, poop in the bed. Things are good.
Well, speaking of evil,
Oh my God.
the new season of Evil is on, you guys. You watching
Oh,
it?
it started?
Yeah.
Fuck, I missed that it had started up again.
We're a couple episodes in already.
Well,
Oh
damn.
my gosh. Is it good?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yay.
It's all the same stuff. Everybody you hate, you really hate. And the people you love, you really love. And, just trying to figure out what the relationship is going to be between our two leads who clearly cannot have a relationship.
Yeah.
But
I may have to, I'll be
Especially
watching
now.
that this week for sure.
yeah, it's really good. I'm really, really happy with what I've seen so far.
That's good. Because you never know.
She didn't jump up in the church and say, "You shouldn't ordain yourself. Keep yourself open for me." So,
Well,
We
I
are
mean,
where
she
we
did
are.
confess to a murder and then started making out with him. That was how the
I
season
forgot about
ended.
that part.
Yeah.
You're so right. I so forgot about that. We'll see how it goes. Being a Catholic, you shouldn't have to give up that stuff anyway. As somebody who grew up Catholic, it's stupid. Makes
There's
for a bad
been some
priest.
strong indications of the activities of priests in the last 20, 30 years that have come out that indicate you are correct.
I know I'm correct. It's not. And also, if you get a priest who starts trying to give you relationship advice, which happens
God.
all the time, they are so tone deaf. They should not ever counsel marriages.
No.
Super
What the
off
hell do
topic.
you know about a relationship
I know.
and how to make it work?
You can't, nothing. They know nothing. I remember a priest once talking to me about how I should really, do my best not to burn the pot roast at home. And I was like, what is happening? What year are you from, sir? Anyway. I know we probably already touched on this, but I finished watching Stranger Things.
Part.
Yeah.
The first. I mean, there's only 2 more episodes once it does come.
Well,
but-
it's actually more like 4 episodes, isn't it?
That,
they're
like
each
the
2
last
hours.
one is 2.5 hours and
yeah.
the first one is an hour and a half. So yeah.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I'm digging it. I mean, I feel like I don't know why people are as siloed as they are. That's kind of strange to me that we're sort of all over the map. And I wonder if that's a COVID situation. Having different people in 3
When they shot it, it was
very different locations.
Could be.
Yeah, or 4. But I like where the story is at. I think it's even more of the same. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street vibes that are throughout. Yeah, there's a lot of really great stuff. I love every time they introduce a new character, it's an even better actor and even more fun person to add in the mix. And every time I'm just show me the dungeon master guy. He's great. He's so good. So I'm having a good time with it.
I was not having a very good time with it. I was just like, boy, how is it that every time they go to 11, I'm bored out of my mind?
So
Her
bored.
backstory. I'm just like, I don't care. Get back to the stuff that's going on.
Yep, for sure. And I don't care about California. The other California people really much
Right.
at all.
Sort of like when they went to, was it Chicago in the last season? It's like, or whenever that was,
Yeah.
get out of here. This is dumb.
Also, Russia. I was like, why?
Oh my God.
We should have just started with him coming home. That would have been fine. I don't know why the fuck we're doing this. I'm so many
Stretch it out.
antics.
We need so many hours of this show.
I'm just, the core story I'm really enjoying, the monster and the
Yeah.
people who are dealing with it. And of course, Steve I'm Team Steve all day, every day. So I don't know. I'm excited by that plot and that story and that place. I don't hate the other characters. It's hard to watch them be so separated from each other.
It works best when it is focused on that small town horror.
For sure.
And then, not,
1,000%.
the whole globetrotting thing is such a ridiculous idea that these two crazy people are going to somehow infiltrate a Russian prison and get somebody out of it is just
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And that was definitely something where I was like, why are we here? Do you guys just you built a set and you really want to make sure you get your money's worth? Do people really love 80s Russia this much? Because this is a lot. I mean, I love Hopper, but I'm really done with this scenario. So, oh well.
I'm having a hard time even starting watching. I haven't even started watching it.
Oh.
Because the stuff has been so hit or miss. I mean, the biggest news coming out of it is Kate Bush has a hit song again. I'm like,
oh yeah. Well, it's the same song she had before.
It's like, you realize that was a double platinum album. This isn't some magically discovered song that nobody, it's not the song from the beginning of, what is Wigwam's song from,
right.
Yeah.
This is a song that was a giant hit in the 80s too.
For sure. When I lived in England, people loved Kate Bush, and she was still a huge star, huge success. Yeah. Everybody had their albums. Her albums. I listened to them over and over again because it was just part of the zeitgeist. And now it's like, oh, everyone's found Hounds of Love. Cool. Okay. Sounds good.
And everybody talking about it like nobody ever heard it before except for them. Oh, I knew this one. Go away. Anyways,
yeah, totally.
Speaking of going back to the 80s,
ooh.
A minor miracle happened. I got a Vinegar Syndrome group of movies that had a movie that Dina, my wife, was interested in. She's like, oh my God, it's Cloak and Dagger.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
From, 1984. The director, though, Richard Franklin, man, he's Patrick, Road Games, Psycho 2, and Link are all directed by this guy. Several of which we've talked about on the show.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, Cloak and Dagger, wasn't that written by, what's his name from Halloween 3?
I believe so, yeah, that sounds right.
I can't even think of his name right now.
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, yeah. I think that's a Tom Holland script.
Yep, it is. Yep, that's that's what was the credits start to roll. I was like, holy shit, this is a Tom Holland written script. I'm very interested. And I looked up the director going, wow. And you know what? It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a fun movie.
This is another one of those insane cool packaging thing where it's got great art. And I notice there's a stand-up video game in the back of that one guy's store, I believe it is. The adult that they hang out with for whatever reason at the back of the mall store has the art on the side of that video game is the wraparound art style for the box. And you open up the box and the sleeve for the video is the game as it looks in the movie.
That's
just real smart. And it looks good. It's fun. Dabney Coleman is nicer than he usually is in movies. He's like a good dad in this one. But, intrigue and spies, it's just fun. It holds up as far as just being a fun movie. It's,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I finally rented the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Oh, what'd you think?
I thought it was pretty good, actually. I thought it was it was cuter than I thought it was going to be. Pedro Pascal, I thought was very endearing.
He's so watchable.
He really is.
He's just, he's lovely in that film.
And they actually have some really good chemistry together. So, I thought it was really cute. I'm not sure exactly what I was expecting. I think I thought it was going to be like a broader comedy or something. And I liked the whole idea of, I mean, it's kind of a tired trope, but when you've got Nicolas Cage doing it and they're making a movie, and of course the movie they're making is the movie we're watching, and we've seen that a million times. For some reason, it didn't feel old.
No, I think that it hinges so much on this like bromance and the two sort of, I don't know, like Pedro bringing this additional side out of Nick Cage. It just feels really lovely that it almost doesn't matter too much like the other dressings around it. So.
Yeah, it's almost, Pedro has such a crush on him
He
that
does.
it's just such an adorable little moment. So
Aw.
yeah,
I'm
good
so-
call on that.
Yay, I'm so glad you liked that. That
Nice.
warms my heart. Well, I, of course, went to the movie theater and I watched something I think that Eric had already watched, which was Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you liked it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was what it was.
Yeah.
It was nothing more, but it was exactly what it should be.
Yeah. No, I didn't expect I was going to enjoy it, but it was a very solid action film.
Mhm.
And I had a great time and it was fun. And I was really like, the action is directed incredibly well. So all that shit that you get from Transformers when you're like, I don't know what the stakes are. I don't know where we are. I don't know who's who. This is so clear. And this script and the story are written in such a very linear, easy to follow way that you just care so much more. So all the action stuff was great. A lot of the character stuff was great. I never want to see Tom Cruise kiss a woman ever again. But other than that, I'm pretty
He
good.
is awkward at it. It's definitely not his
I
greatest.
don't think she
thing.
wanted it either. I think she was like, all right, I'm being paid. Let's do this. Like in and out, in and out. Yeah. And then Val Kilmer was,
Yeah. Nice.
nice,
Well done.
nice little
Yeah,
piece.
it's really
So
well done.
that could have gone either way.
2 questions, Vanessa.
Yeah.
You said, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it.
Mhm.
So why didn't you think you were going to enjoy it? And also, why would you go to a movie if you didn't think you were going to enjoy it?
Because if I'm going to enjoy it, I'm going to enjoy it in the movie theater. So I try to give it its best chance.
Oh, okay.
If it's a big, especially, a lot of people are going and seeing it, and I don't know, there's not that many movies that come out and exist. So if I wanted to check it out, and I didn't think I was gonna super love it because I'm not a dude who's really into the Navy, and like, I'm not crazy in love with the first film. Like, it's fine, but I never was like, this is the best movie I've ever seen, and I cried 1,000 times. Oh my god, like it's fine. But I wasn't like, yeah. And this one, I was definitely a lot more pumped. It knows how to emotionally invest you into the action pieces.
I'd like to see it. Did you feel like the theater was still packed for it, or
No, I specifically found a screening that was, I think it was like 10:30 at night on a weekday.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was not too packed.
That
I'm
won't work.
old.
So
That's
that won't
never
work.
going to
No.
work.
I know. I
You
think
need
that
10:30 in the morning.
now that Lightyear is out, which I have not seen, I think you're gonna have good odds of seeing it without it
You
being
think it's
overly
the same
packed.
audience going to Lightyear?
I think the audience, the people who would want to see Maverick, are now being pulled by their children to go see Lightyear.
Ah, okay.
So I think they have already seen it if they were going to see it. So
I
I,
see.
think you're in a
Okay.
good situation.
As a woman,
Mhm.
volleyball or football scene, which one worked better for you?
Ooh, good question. Good question.
I mean, there's a lot more men in the the football scene on the beach.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually think I like the volleyball scene a little more. The football scene was fine. I was mostly like, yeah, team building. I get it.
Yeah. Well, as Val Kilmer at this height of power in the top.
Yeah, and the football scene, I mean, I don't know, it's fine. I wasn't turned on by either version. I was like, how well can they do their sports and how is it shot? Slightly slow-mo in both cases. They seem pretty 1-to-1.
Yep.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, definitely
Football played the same way both times, offense and defense by both teams. Like, okay.
Oh,
seems
wow.
good to me.
So,
They're learning lessons about how to be teammates. That's all that matters.
yes, exactly. This might be the last mention for this guy, except for like if I see the movie, like I mentioned last week.
Oh my God.
I'm calling this one The Fall of Andy Milligan.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
This movie called Carnage, which he did in like 84, 85 or something. I haven't finished watching it yet. I probably will eventually, but I don't know if he had too much money and he had no idea what to do with it or what was going on. But there's just, it's kind of like, okay, this is the one that has finally bored me greatly.
Oh man.
Even the fun weirdness of whatever the hell he did in his earlier films, that's all gone now. And it's all the same. He has a storyline that he does time and time again, which is horrible people being horrible to each other and trying to kill each other or something along those lines. And, this being like the 5th film, I think, where he had that theme kind of like, All right. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
sad to say.
Well, was there carnage?
I'm sure there will be eventually, but there wasn't in the first like half hour or so of it, where I was like, the description says something to the effect like lots of people killed by home appliances,
Oh, jeez.
which hasn't happened yet. So I'm assuming that finish it at some point and find out if they're well done or not.
By people wielding home appliances, not home appliances come to life, I imagine.
I'm guessing it's not worded so you can know for sure on that though. But my guess is this, because he doesn't do a lot of supernatural. So, oh well.
Oh, well, the day had to come.
That's right.
Or you're just going to run out of his content. One of the two.
Yeah.
It can't all be gold.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so why don't we take a break then? And then when we come back, we are talking 21st century vampires.
Okay, Dad, I'm going out.
Is Dracula picking you up?
He's not a vampire, Dad. He's goth. There's a difference.
Yeah, sure. Pizza?
Ooh, who delivered?
Actually, it's new Delisio garlic bread pizza.
Garlic in the crust. You can really taste it.
Oh, you can taste the garlic, all right.
Hi, Jake. Pizza?
Garlic?
What you say?
See? Vampire. Told you.
It's not delivery. It's Delisio. New Delisio garlic bread pizza.
We have returned. Guys, this was my subgenre, the idea being that it had to be a 21st century vampire, so a movie that was made in the 21st century and took place in the 21st century. And with that in mind, I chose a real stinker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
From the year 2000.
Was it?
Whoa.
Dracula 2000.
If true evil cannot die, is there a chance that it can forever be contained?
Passcode decrypted. Accessing. Security shutting down. Cracked.
For centuries, a secret has been buried beneath the streets of London.
You don't build this kind of security without a gold mine to hide.
Something ageless.
What the hell is that?
The Holy Grail, the Golden Fleece, the crown jewels, whatever it is, it's inside.
Something powerful. Something beyond your deepest fears.
What has happened in there?
He is Mephisto.
Who?
Dracula. Not myth. He's real. I assure you.
I don't want to die.
There are worse things than death.
So you haven't told me your name.
We're all so much more complicated than our names.
Or as it is known internationally, Dracula 2001.
Oh, wait.
Because it came out in December of 2000.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God. That's so dumb. They're like, we can't keep it as 2000s. No one will see it.
Budget, $54 million. Box office, $33 million.
Whoops.
Rotten Tomatoes critics have it at 17%. The audience has it at 39%. Directed by Patrick Lussier, who directed Drive Angry, which is a movie I enjoy quite a bit. My Bloody Valentine remake, which is a movie I enjoy quite a bit. And then Dracula 2, The Ascension, and Dracula 3, Legacy. Written by Joel Soisson.
Oh.
He wrote the movie Trick or Treat and various Hellraiser, Children of the Corn, and Prophecy sequels.
Oh my.
Okay.
Yes. It stars Strange Eon's MVP, Jerry Butler from 300, Olympus, London, and Angel Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Geostorm, Cop Shop, Greenland, and Vanessa, you'll be disappointed to know the upcoming Greenland sequel, Migration.
It better have more disaster in it because
Oh
I
my.
swear to Christ.
Or even one laugh or something.
Just
What a
something
depressing,
not
depressing
harrowing.
movie.
It's The Road meets a disaster film.
Oh God.
Oof.
It also stars Justine Waddell. Kind of out of place in this. She's known for Anna Karenina, Great Expectations, Tess of the D'Urbervilles.
Oh my God. What the hell? You know what? Excuse me, my agent. I want to try something insanely different. Got it for you.
It also stars Christopher Plummer from The Sound of Music, The Silent Partner, Somewhere in Time, Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, and 213 other credits.
Yeah.
He passed away in 2019 at the age of 91. And then I'm just going to list off this this host of late 90s WB stars that are in this.
Oh my God.
Johnny Lee Miller, Omar Epps, Jennifer Esposito, famous Scientologist and rapist Danny Masterson,
Ooh.
Jerry Ryan, and a baby-faced Nathan Fillion, which I was kind of surprised to see.
Wow.
Cool.
So we open with Matthew Van Helsing in present day, which is Christopher Plummer doing his best Peter Cushing, and he actually looks quite a bit like him.
Aw.
So he owns this antique shop that sits over the site of Carfax Abbey. If you're not familiar, Carfax Abbey was a prominent location in the original Dracula novel. That's where Dracula moved into when he moved to London.
Oh.
Anyway, we then meet his assistant, Simon, and his secretary, Selina. And they have some kind of weird sexual history, but are no longer together, even though Simon clearly still wants to be. So later that night, when the place is closed, we see Selina break into the antique store after hours, and she has a very diverse group of thieves. And they start making their way through the levels of this place, which seems awfully high-tech secure for an antique store. And they finally get down to the lowest level where there is an iron coffin with crosses all over it.
Uh-oh.
And of course, thinking there's something valuable in there, they steal that. So they've got it on a private jet plane heading to America, and they decide they need to pop it open now.
Right now.
Because they want to know what's in there. And of course, it's Dracula.
Hello.
He attacks all of them and turns them into vampires, and the plane crashes in a Louisiana swamp. Also, we meet Lucy and Mary instead of Mina. And Mary has been having waking nightmares of a terrifying man, Gerard Butler.
Watch out.
Gerard Butler, this is 2000. He looks very different. He looks very young, and his face has none of the character that we've come to associate with it. He just looks like a mildly handsome man in his, I don't know, maybe his 30s or late 20s. He doesn't have any character that would make you think, oh, this guy should play the next Dracula. It's a very poor casting choice. So Van Helsing and his assistant Simon arrive to identify the body of Selina. And Van Helsing is telling Simon all about vampires. And he's got, the whole thing was I was, hiding the coffin of Dracula down there. And I might have let it slip that there was something extremely important to me down there, but not valuable. And this could all go very badly. And Simon is like, vampires? No. But of course, the bodies all wake up and attack them, including Selina attacking Simon because he was too weak to kill her. There is a kind of fun scene here where Van Helsing opens his briefcase, and of course, it's tricked out as a vampire slaying kit, and it's got all sorts of cool guns and knives and crucifixes. And I'll be honest, so far I'm kind of digging this movie, but it starts falling apart pretty quickly. So yeah, we find out that Van Helsing is actually the original Abraham Van Helsing, who has been watching over Dracula's tomb for a couple hundred years now, and he's been keeping himself alive by injecting vampire blood into his system. And we get a close shot of the vampire blood, and it's got like these vampire leeches in it and everything, and that's why he's still alive. We also find out that Mary is Van Helsing's daughter, but even she doesn't know this because her mom took her away to America when she was still a baby. So the high point of the movie comes up. There is this great flashpoint scene where Van Helsing and his company originally trapped Dracula in the coffin we first see him in. And it's really a cool scene where they kind of play on the idea that vampires cast no reflection. And so Dracula thinks he is coming towards Van Helsing, but he's actually coming towards a reflection of Van Helsing, and he can't tell because he can't see himself in it.
Oh, wild.
And then the glass suddenly shatters, and he's like, what? And he finds out that he's like in this weird cage, and then they start skewering him with all these big, long posts. And I was like, God, this is really cool. This movie should have been all about this. It's about 5 minutes of really cool storytelling that is surrounded by 100 minutes of real just dreck.
Oh my God.
So anyway, Dracula is drawn to Mary, of course.
Sure.
And he turns Lucy into a vampire after she offers him a coffee. And he says, I don't drink coffee.
Beautiful.
Jesus.
Good writing.
Yeah. And,
Original.
with Lucy and then Jennifer Esposito and Jerry Ryan, we get a kind of Brides of Dracula scene where Simon has got these 3 hot vampire chicks all attacking him, and he has to try and take them out, but also he's still got feelings for Selena and all of this shit. We also get to see Nathan Fillion playing a young priest that Mary goes to with her problems, and he's fairly solid. He turned around and I was like, boy, that kid looks like Nathan Fillion. And I was like, oh, it is Nathan Fillion. He's just very young. He was actually pretty solid. And of course, we get the scene of Mary finally giving in to Dracula, but she won't become a full vampire if they can kill Dracula before she feeds for the first time. This old tired. Will they succeed?
Do you really care at that point?
Well, I'm actually asking you guys because I fell asleep before the end of this movie. I was just like, I'm not going back to watch how this ends.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah. Got a couple of really shitty taglines to go with this film.
Hey, all right.
The most seductive evil of all time has now been unleashed in ours.
Awful.
That one is the better of the two.
Oh, no.
19th century chills terrify the 21st century.
Oh, they're so clunky.
Some trivia. My apologies to Joel Soisson. The initial draft was penned by producer Joel Soisson. After Harvey Weinstein purchased the screenplay, he called script doctor Scott Derrickson, saying, I just bought this script called Dracula 2000. And Derrickson said, oh yeah, is it good? And Weinstein replied, it's awful. Derrickson asked, so why did you buy it? And Weinstein replied, because it's called Dracula 2000. So,
good reason.
I can sell that.
Derrickson did the rewrite, which Weinstein hated. And then Aaron Kruger did the next rewrite, and neither of them are credited on it. So I don't know exactly how that works.
Huh.
Dracula 2000 was followed by 2 direct-to-video sequels, Ascension in 2003 and Legacy in 2005. And ironically, Legacy has the best reviews of any of the movies in this movie. So,
wow.
I do have a couple of reviews for this movie.
Oh, good.
And you guys have to pay attention to this.
Okay.
So this starts at the top, 8 out of 10.
Okay.
All right.
And it is by Movies to You. A brilliant movie that is definitely underrated. Dracula 2000 is a great movie that is underrated by the critiques. I had commented on this film before, but I accidentally rated it a 9 out of 10, which I had just realized was a mistake. The cast is great. And the performances by Gerard Butler, Justine Waddell, Johnny Lee Miller, Colleen Fitzpatrick, Jennifer Esposito, and Christopher Plummer are some of the best actors that I have ever seen.
Sure.
Also, Patrick Lussier and Wes Craven did an excellent job on making the film. When I saw that this had come on pay-per-view, I was surprised when I saw the critiques rated the film with a asterisk plus, which is one of the lowest movie ratings in the system. I think Dracula 2000 is an underrated movie that deserves more. I enjoyed the film so much that I bought the DVD. This is a great horror film with an excellent cast. I give it a 10 out of 10 with about 15 exclamation points and then a smiley face.
Wes Craven?
This is Wes Craven presents Dracula 2000.
Oh, okay.
Which a sure sign of a crappy film.
He's had nothing to do with this. Anyway, did you catch what's going on here?
He's related to somebody in the movie.
I don't.
I assumed this was a she, but
8 out of 10, but would have given it 9 out of 10, but mistakenly had an 8 out of 10. Or no.
And 10 out of 10 by the end.
10 out of 10. Oh, okay.
It says 8 out of 10 at the beginning,
Yeah.
but they accidentally rated it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
And then at the end gives it a 10 out of 10.
I feel like this person's having a real struggle with how to
I feel like
review a film.
if this review had gone any longer, it would have been like a 12 out of 10.
Yeah, just keep going up.
10 isn't high enough.
I have a review that's on the other end of this.
All right.
Not surprising.
James Berardinelli of Real Views. He says, of all the indignities to have been visited upon Dracula during the past century, including being the inspiration for a serial and a Sesame Street character, none is more unsettling than what has happened to the world's most famous vampire in Dracula 2000.
Oh, that's great.
Real reviews. I may have to look that guy up.
That's extremely good.
Pretty neat. I was really looking forward to this. I actually was thinking that I wanted to do the Dracula 3000, but the reviews were so bad for it because I'm a sucker for horror in space. So I decided I would go Dracula 2000, and I chose poorly, you guys.
You should have done the one in space.
You know what? I still might. We can have an in space subgenre, I'm sure.
In space Draculas. There's at least one. Yeah, maybe two. Okay, well, yeah, this was kind of a fun one. I don't know. I had 3 or 4 different ones I was really looking at, but there's one that I've been meaning to watch for a while now, and this seemed like the great opportunity to check out. Only Lovers Left Alive from 2013.
1868, her 3rd wedding. It looks so young.
Give my regards to that suicidally romantic scoundrel.
Well, let's hope he's just romantic.
You being so reclusive and everything is probably only going to make people more interested in your music.
Yeah. What a drag.
Mrs. is looking for us.
Shouldn't she be sleeping in a coffin somewhere?
I'm really, really hungry.
Could you smell it all the way from LA?
We're gonna have so much fun together.
We gotta go. Right now.
Is that the really good stuff?
Precisely.
Typo. Negativo.
I protect a secret in your soul.
How can you have lived for so long and still not get it? You've been pretty lucky in love, though, if I may say so.
I have what you need.
Not what I need.
This is one I keep thinking I have seen or I haven't seen. I cannot remember which. And I will go by your assessment to see if I should finally decide to try and watch it and see if I have seen it.
Absolutely. This is one that I had missed because I think the person I was dating at the time saw it without me. And then I was like, oh, I'll watch it eventually. And now it is probably 15 years later or something. It's been a hot minute. Not 15, but yeah, 9 years later. Okay, so the Rotten Tomatoes score, critics have it at 86%. So definitely a critic's darling. And audience has it at 75%. The budget was $7 million and the box office was $7.6 million.
Oh.
So it is directed by / written by Jim Jarmusch. He has done 30 different things. I've seen a lot of them, including Stranger Than Paradise, Down by Law, Coffee and Cigarettes, Night on Earth, Dead Man, Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai, Broken Flowers, and The Dead Don't Die.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this guy. I mean, if he started off doing like pretty indie stuff, black and white, oftentimes at night, low grain film stuff with often Steve Buscemi in New York.
Here's a weird
in the
side
90s.
note. Night on Earth was one of my key movies I used to explain Letterboxd to people that didn't get it. It stills from that movie that showed. See, here you can actually see the taxi driver and the person in the cab. If you watch it in pan and scan, you only see one of them.
Is that how we're doing this show now, Eric? You just get a thought in your mind and you just start opening your mouth?
Might as well.
Jeez.
I'm down with it. That's great. But yeah, like I've been watching Jim Jarmusch for a while, so I have a good idea of what to expect, including Dead Don't Die, which I think I am the only human being on planet Earth to have enjoyed. So that's fine. It is there's another writer on this, Marianne Bessy, and I can't tell if she wrote a French version that Jim Jarmusch adapted or if she adapted Jim Jarmusch's script into French. I think it's the latter. It is starring quite a cast. So the lead is played by Tom Hiddleston, who plays Adam. He's been in 52 things. We would know him as Loki from Avengers, Thor, et cetera, et cetera. He started off doing a lot of British TV, including things like Wallander, then moved into movies like Deep Blue Sea, Muppets Most Wanted. More recently, High Rise, Crimson Peak, Kong Skull Island, and I really am excited to see him in Essex Serpent. So, also co-starring with him is Tilda Swinton, who plays Eve. 98 credits, including Orlando was kind of her big breakout hit, but also Vanilla Sky, adaptation, Constantine as Gabriel, which I love her in, Broken Flowers, Chronicles of Narnia as the White Witch, and We Need to Talk About Kevin, which I have not gotten to yet. Snowpiercer, Doctor Strange. There's so many movies, so many great movies. And of course, Suspiria, which we can't leave out. She's also a Jim Jarmusch favorite because she's not only done Broken Flowers, but also was in Dead Don't Die. And she plays, well, I'll talk about this later. We also have in here Mia Wachowski, who's playing the role of Ava. She's been in 41 things. I know her as Edith in Crimson Peak and Alice in Wonderland. John Hurt is in this, playing Christopher Marlowe. He has 211 credits, including Elephant Man, Midnight Express, Alien, 1984, Watership Down, and Lord of the Rings, the old one, as the voice of Aragorn. He was also in a bunch of the Merlin TV series as the dragon voice, which I did not know. We also have Anton Yeltsin, who plays Ian. He's been in 68 things, including Chekhov in the Star Trek movies, Green Room, Odd Thomas, and died too soon. We miss him. Jeffrey Wright is in this as Dr. Watson. He's been in 77 things, but I know him from Westworld and The Batman. He was also the voice of the Watcher in What If. So the story, it's a Jim Jarmusch movie. So it's going to be slow and it's going to be long. A lot of long, pretty takes, a lot of atmosphere, a lot of we're driving around in our car at night. We're talking about different places we're going past. That's the speed of the movie you're in. It doesn't matter that it's a vampire movie. It is going to be a Jim Jarmusch film first and foremost. So plot is not crazy intense. Adam is a depressed, reclusive musician living in an abandoned building in Detroit. He is tired of life, having lived as a vampire for centuries. He longs for death and only basically has one friend acquaintance, a human named Ian, which is Anton Yelchin, who acquires rare musical equipment for him that helps him put together his songs. He asks Anton for a wooden bullet that can be made out of the hardest wood on earth, and Ian agrees. Ian does not know he's a vampire, so he just thinks he's being eccentric. There's also other little hints that Adam really keeps Ian at a distance. So Ian's like, hey man, could I pee before I head out? And he's like, sorry, my bathroom's still busted. He's like, dude, it's been busted so long. Let me help you get it fixed. Okay, I gotta help you with this. And Adam becomes enraged and he's like, no man, I don't need it. Actually, so just go pee in my yard. So he also he has a pretty monotonous life between sort of making music and then going out for the occasional blood run at a local hospital. He dresses in incredibly out-of-date hospital gear and then pays cash to the dude from Westworld. And they make quiet, dry quips at each other. This movie is filled with dry humor, just through and through. On the other side of the world in Tanzania, Eve is quietly enjoying a life filled with music, dancing, books, and friendship with the other vampire, Christopher Marlowe. She has a simple yet happy existence and decides to call up Adam one night after drinking some blood, because he is her long-term lover and husband. She wants to see how he is. Clearly, he's quite depressed, and she decides she's got to fly out and check up on him. She says, I don't want you to go through this like last time. Last time you missed the Inquisition and the plague, and it was such a bummer. We can't have you missing out on such great things in the world again. When she arrives, they reconnect, they have sex, they listen to music, they hang out, they do cool people shit, wearing a lot of like cool leather coats and walking around with their cool hair and their cool shit. And he tells her that he's really fed up with the world and all the zombies destroying it. They talk a lot about zombies, which of course is the human race. They end up spending a lot of time just driving around, like I said. Meanwhile, everybody is having these dreams about Eva's sister, Ava. Marlowe had a weird dream about her. Adam recounts having a dream, and Eve confesses she's also had a dream and a vision of her. Adam is really hesitant about what this means because Eve suspects it means she's going to turn up at some point soon. And Adam wants nothing to do with her. 80-something years ago, she turned up unexpectedly in France and fucked everything up, made a huge mess. And he just is like, please, for the love of God, your stupid, horrible mess of a sister cannot show up. And of course, she does. And she is a manipulative little shit. She is free-spirited youth who's been living it up in LA, and she likes to live dangerously, and she goes through all their blood supply, and she doesn't even care. She's just sucking blood out of people. Sorry. And it's really unclean and dangerous nowadays. You really want to be careful about where you get your blood from because who knows what drugs people are doing. She just doesn't care. She causes a lot of problems and just is a huge pain in their ass the whole time. She wants to go clubbing and eventually convinces them to go out one night and starts flirting with Ian. And of course, they bring Ian back that night. And then the next morning, they discover he is drained of his blood and she's just covered in his blood, smeared all over her face like a kid who ate too much chocolate the night before. So they have to figure out how to get rid of his body. They then kick her out. They have a big fight out on the yard. She basically tells them to fuck off and gets in a cab and goes. They then go to Tanzania, but it's a brutal trip. It's just a long way to go. And by the time they get there, they are desperate for blood. Marlowe, who's been Eve's main supplier, isn't responding. They're trying to figure out what happened to him. Turns out he drank some contaminated blood. He gives them the last of the good supply and then dies. They sit outside. It's close to sunrise. They are very low on energy. They think this might be the end for them. There's a cock crowing somewhere off in the distance, and they see a couple making out nearby, and they're like, it's very 15th century, but perhaps this is what we should do. Movie ends. That's it. That is the entire plot. I mean, there's not a lot to condense there. Just two old lovers meeting up and having a short adventure. This film, you know what? It's beautiful. It's atmospheric. It's got a lot of kind of cool, slow music happening in the background. This is Jim Jarmusch's idea of what cool vampires are. And there's certain things that are really unique and interesting about the vampires. When they drink blood, it's like they're drug addicts. Like they bliss out for a minute. The world kind of spins around them. Also, I love that they're so old, they just know everything. They're like, they know the scientific name for mushrooms and for skunks. They all know how to play pretty much every instrument. They've read every book. They can speak all the languages. They can fix anything that goes wrong in a house because they've just been around forever and you just pick up knowledge. So they're like, oh man, look at this mess of wires. These stupid zombies they've tried to wire up this house, and we've had, Tesla's been around forever, and like he had a wireless light bulb, and what the fuck is this? What is this mess? And there's this kind of like interesting approach to just old age that is really fascinating. They also have a cool thing they're doing where they're mixing a lot of the old and the new. So a lot of people are wearing really old pieces of clothing they've had around forever that they just like. So Adam's robe is like a couple hundred years old. His stethoscope, he feels like it's pretty new, but it's actually like from the 60s. And people are like, you gotta like upgrade. His guitars are super old, but they like the music of Jack White, and they do appreciate interesting new things. Little sister is annoying as fuck. It's really difficult to sit through all her stuff. But, there's beautiful locations. I don't know. This movie is really pretentious. I don't think a lot of people are going to like it. It talks about how you have to have cool music tastes and book tastes, and the concepts of what is cool is very specific to Jim Jarmusch and what he thinks is cool. So it's not, a lot of people are probably going to find this hard to swallow and just be like, what the fuck? There's no real story happening. And that's where we get to some trivia. It's kind of fun. Okay, first of all, a tagline, cool people never die. I want to barf just saying that. That's a stupid tagline. The film is described by Jarmusch as a crypto vampire love story. Jarmusch found getting financing very difficult. It took him 3 years from when everybody signed on to get it made and 7 years from when he initially started pitching it. He eventually got the money from a German NRW Filmstiftung. In 2012, Tom Hiddleston replaced Michael Fassbender for the role of Adam. Shooting started in 2012, including Brush Park, Detroit, D'Angier, Morocco, Hamburg, and Cologne in Germany. Filming took all of 7 weeks. So pretty quick. Wow. All of the cast members playing vampires wore wigs with a mix of human, yak, and goat hair to make them look a bit wilder. There was some action in this movie. And when Jim Jarmusch was asked if he would add more, he decided instead to remove all of it. Basically being like, that's not the kind of movie this is.
Oh my.
Yep. I mean, that's exactly what this sort of movie is. There's some stuff about Eve being part of a druid matriarch cultural Celtic tribe, but they took it out and it's only available on the DVD version. They talk a lot about this white dwarf star that makes this kind of song music gong sound, which is actually the same song that's being talked about in Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds by the Beatles. Contrary to the viewers' assumptions, and this is something Jim Jarmusch should have figured out, the two main characters are not named after the Adam and Eve from the Bible. It was actually a reference to a Mark Twain satirical work called The Diaries of Adam and Eve. And he was like, oh, whoops. It wasn't until shooting the film I realized everyone's first impression would be the biblical reference. Oh, well, too late now. What am I supposed to do? I'm like, you dumbass. You are not so tone deaf that you didn't realize that. Come on. You're being purposely up to thick with that one. So yeah, there's I don't know, man. There's a lot of silly little things they're doing in here. Adam has a passport with the name of Loki on it, of course, as a reference to Marvel Universe thing. There's a lot of pretension in here. Although Jim Jarmusch wanted to shoot the movie on film, he has a general distaste for digital cinematography. He had to use an Arri Alexa for budgetary reasons, but he managed to work with the low lighting specific lenses in order to come up with a look he found acceptable. Jim Jarmusch's band Squirrel is responsible for a lot of the music in this. It premiered over at Cannes. And my favorite piece of trivia about this whole thing, though, is that Tilda Swinton somewhat reprised her role in the mockumentary series What We Do in the Shadows. The series is based on where she has a similar version of what this vampire would be in the show. So, a couple of interesting film reviews. that I think sum up the feeling of the film pretty well. Scott A. Gray of Exclaim gave it an 8 out of 10, calling it a visually poetic love story with a wry, jaded sense of humor and finding reasons to wake up every night. Robbie Collin from the Daily Telegraph said, in the time-honored Jarmuschian fashion, the few things that happen in Only Lovers Left Alive happen very slowly. But the dialogue is always gloomily amusing, and Swinton and Hiddleston's delivery of the gags is as cold and crisp as footsteps in the fresh snow. And Observer's Jonathan Romney said the film is a droll, classy piece of cinematic dandyism that makes the Twilight cycle redundant in one exquisitely languid stroke. So there you go.
So it sounds pretentious, but I can't tell if you liked it or not.
I actually did like it, but I also am kind of pretentious sometimes. And like I said, I've seen like so many Jim Jarmusch movies. So there's something about it that like kind of slow, beautiful cinematography, and it gives really like a sense of space and time rather than, it's all about like a feeling rather than about a story. And there's something about that I enjoy. So, but I feel like an ass saying that. So
it's all right.
Yeah.
That's okay. Nobody's listening.
True.
There you go.
It's fine. Especially after the description of that film. It's like, you're all asleep now, time to wake up. More interesting things are going to be discussed. So,
okay, well, I guess we'll pepper it up a little bit with the wild and crazy Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust.
In the dark world of tomorrow, when vampires rule the night, from the darkest depths of hell, the ultimate form of evil awakens.
This has been difficult for all of us. If you knew my daughter, you'd understand. Her loss is more than this old soul can bear. I'll give you 20 million.
It may be too late for her. What then?
Just bring her back one way or the other.
After the destruction of our world, after the dead stalk the living, after the desire for blood rules all, the only hope left is the one they call D.
She's here by her own choice.
You kidnapped the girl.
Ready or not?
When darkness falls, the hunt begins.
Ooh.
Also from 2000. This has a Rotten Tomatoes 72 from critics, 86 from the audience. It's generally considered superior to the first one.
Oh. This is animated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anime. It's directed by Jack Fletcher, who did Ninja Scroll TV show and Pet Shop of Horrors. Yoshika Kajira, Ninja Scroll, Animatrix, and Wicked City. Written by Hideyuko Koichi, probably. He wrote not a lot. Benpaya Hanta 3. Yuisha Kawahara, who did Ninja Scroll TV. X, the anime, not the movie. Marvel anime stuff. Ellen Moore, who did the English adaptation, and also did for Tekken Blade 2. Y'all know all these, right?
No.
Voicing actors. This was the English language version, which I'll get into later in trivia. Andrew Philpott, who was known for Reign the Conqueror, Final Fantasy 10 and 12. John Rafter Lee, Aeon Flux, Spawn, Vampire Hunter D, all the animated ones.
Mm.
Pamela Adlon, who's Big Mouth, 8 episodes of Californication, and Pound Puppies.
Oh, wow. I'm guessing that's a recent Pound Puppies.
I'm not sure. Probably, yes. Let's see. Hell of an opening scene. It's got a great introduction to what's going on in the world, where this is, the story is, well, it starts in the past, but then moves 10,000 years in the future, where during those 10,000 years, vampires have taken over the world, and now they're in recession. They're no longer controlling the world, and they're being cleaned up by the vampire hunters. And some are like Vampire Hunter D is a unique one in that basically he's Blade, partial human, partial vampire, with some of the powers and all of the never dying. He's supposed to be, of course, the most dangerous of the bounty hunters. He's the best of the best, but he's not the only one. He gets hired to rescue a woman who's been kidnapped by the most powerful vampire left or something. You know, it's anime, so whatever it is, it has to be the greatest ever. Yeah, but anyway, so he goes off to rescue her, and they meet up with a team of other vampire. They kill a crap ton of vampires, but they call them zombies. I'm like, well, is it just a nickname you guys are using them because these vampires happen to be in a graveyard? Or is that just the way it is? It never really, I don't think they mention zombie ever again. So it goes well, dripping out tons of zombies with their giant spike thing that shoots like thousands of spikes, and somebody with an arrow who can shoot God knows how far and always hits their target until, of course, they try to shoot down Vampire Hunter D. They can't get him. But he basically just gets away. He doesn't do anything to him. He just wanders away from them trying to kill him. I haven't seen the first one, so I'm not entirely certain, or I did, but it's a long time ago. He has a parasite in his hand that's like a face that talks to him. He calls itself a parasite, so...
I know I saw the first one, and I think I gave you the first one loan, but I can't remember a damn thing about it.
Yeah, it was a few years before this one. So obviously this one sticks a little bit better. He's traveling through, weird shit happens. It's anime, so weird shit happens. He travels along and finds a place where the vampire is supposed to be, but it's just this weird giant cube that's sort of reflective and then laser beams shooting out of it. Which, of course, does nothing to Vampire Hunter. He just kind of walks along and they always miss him. So I sound kind of dismissive, but I actually really enjoyed this one. And I'm not a huge anime fan, but this one was a lot of fun. It goes back and forth with him trying to fight them, and then the team of vampire hunters kind of shows up and gets involved. One of the team members breaks off because she gets injured and they leave her behind, but Vampire Hunter D saves her. Not that they team up or anything, but she's nice to him now. Until later part of the second act, it's largely Mad Max Fury Road. You know, just people on a journey trying to hunt this one vampire. The vampire is constantly talked about how it's horribly powerful and unbelievable, but there's barely a fight with the head vampire in this movie. In the end, there's a fight, but it doesn't last very long. And it's really not that interesting. So the biggest scene with the vampire before that is the woman he's with, who's still human, isn't trying to escape, but ends up on the bridge in the sun, and he goes out to rescue her while he burns in the sun. So it's very all romantical. There's a great little strange argument about how to sell should this one town sell him a horse because he's a vampire guy, but it turns out the guy who's selling the horse was saved by Vampire Hunter D when he was a little kid. So he's selling him the horse whether they like it or not.
Nice.
But, I did enjoy, though, that he goes to the horse place to buy the horse so he can continue on his journey outside of town. When the sheriff shows up with his posse and they all pull out guns and tell him he needs to leave town. Like, well,
he's going.
I'm trying to do. You guys get out of my way. I'll be gone. The teams continue to hunt and kill things as they go along. It's light on story. Like I said, it's basically Fury Road just going along. Then at the end, they toss in heavy drama with the lady. Is she going to live or die? Will he save her? Will they escape? They have this rocket ship that some guy who lives in this giant castle has that will take them off planet to, I'm assuming, another vampire friendly planet or something. So that's what.
Whoa, that's a twist.
Yeah, the animation is gorgeous.
Oh.
The characters themselves are fairly typical anime looking. I mean, they look good, but the backgrounds, holy shit, they are just incredible. And this castle that is wrapped around the rocket is this gorgeous kind of pink or purplish color with just depth. It really looks like the backgrounds of some of the really good, really huge animation stuff you've seen where this just really, really rich. And they travel over the top of it and it looks fine. So that's pretty much the story. I've spent a lot of time trying to like anime more than I do, largely because Isaac at MIF, who loved it, I always wanted to bring that to there, and I had to kind of leave it to him. So this is probably the third or fourth anime I've really liked. Akira, Ghost in the Shell, Fist of the North Star, surprisingly good, and this one. Almost all movies. I don't really like most anime TV shows. I think that comes from working at Suncoast when Dragon Ball Z was huge.
Oh my God.
And Dragon Ball Z, basically, here's the entire storyline of Dragon Ball Z, at least as I was able to see it in the store. I am powerful. I am more powerful. Well, now I'm more powerful. Now I'm more powerful.
Oh, God.
Oh, he's more powerful. It's like, just stop. So, and it doesn't have a lot of the, when a lot of anime has people run at each other, they fly through the air, and then there's the little lines running through, and it doesn't have very much of that at all. I also think if you wanted to do a Elric movie in anime, this is a character to look at for how to style.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He looks really cool. Weird problem I had with it. The sound mix was just awful.
Oh no.
The voices were dead. And then the action would come. Like,
oh
God.
no.
I mean, not on like an action movie level bad. Like just like turn it down and then turn it back up.
Wow. What did you watch this on?
YouTube.
Oh.
That's the only way it's currently available.
Oh, weird.
And the weirdness of it. Oh, first, before I get to that, the tagline, which is actually completely wrong for the movie. When the sun sets, the hunt begins. They spend almost all the time in the daylight, so I'm not sure what he's talking about. But unlike almost every other anime made, this was English is the original language for this.
Oh, okay.
So the English language was created first, and if you watch it, they are speaking English, and the mouths are matching what they're talking about. Then the Cantonese and Japanese tracks were done later.
Interesting.
The completed version film was the only theatrically released English language version of an anime movie.
Wow.
So are the Asian voice actors doing the English speaking, or
no? It's American actors.
Okay, interesting.
And when it first run around through Japan's theater, it was subtitled. They didn't have the Japanese language ready to go yet. Premiered in September 23rd, 2001 in America, where it played in 6 theaters.
Oh, sure.
But it was the highest grossing Japanese film ever in a language other than Japanese. $851,000. So that's a dubious bragging point. This was, I think it was last episode, we were kind of harping on fan-made things.
Right.
Now fan-made. This was actually created because fan-made demand. They wanted another Vampire Hunter D, and they went out and actually improved on the original one, made a much more interesting story. Of course, the guy who wrote it was all in favor for it. It's like, yes, we should. Let's do another one. Pay me. Biggest problem was he thought the original looked really cheap. It wasn't done high budget one. They got a much better budget for this one. The animation was created in Madhouse Studios in Tokyo, but the post-production was done in California. soundtrack, the movie was released in 2001, but the English language soundtrack was recorded in 1999. So they animated for a little while. They only added bloodlust at the last minute in marketing because they realized if they just called it Vampire Hunter D, again, nobody's like, wow, you guys didn't realize that until you were marketing the movie. You shouldn't just call it Vampire Hunter D.
Well, and they didn't know that 10 short years later or 20 short years later, we'd just be renaming all of our remakes or sequels as the original movie.
Right.
So I have a question. Didn't you list off a bunch of Asian actors at the beginning?
Those were writers and directors.
Oh, okay.
It had like 4 writers. But yeah, the stars are Andrew Philpott and John and Pamela.
Oh, wow. That's so crazy. Was it just such a big hit over here that they decided to do it that way?
It was just the way it was timing. It actually almost worked out more for timing. From the way it was said, the readers were vague as to exactly why it happened. But the English was the first one recorded. So it sounded like they ended up making the animation to match what they had on hand, which was the English version.
That's so
Weird.
strange.
So they just happened to record the English, and then they were like, let's go ahead and animate for the English first. Did they, when they made the Japanese, did they reanimate any of the mouths? No? They just dubbed it.
Yeah.
Wow. Weird.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. But it's a fun, entertaining one. And it looks really good on YouTube. It's a nice print or whatever somebody posted.
Nice. Was that a paid for YouTube?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I got the little thing that the whatever app that I use to look stuff up. I plug that. Well, yeah, I plug that in and go, oh shit. I'll bet it's on YouTube. Yeah, it is.
And it is.
I'm interested. So, because I think, why did you decide you wanted to do this one? Just because you've been wanting to see it? Because I know you're not a big anime fan.
It was, yeah, basically, it's like I kind of remembered liking Vampire Hunter D, and I like the character. And this one reviewed better. So I'm like, okay, let's check it out.
Very cool. Okay, well, I think, Eric, it is your turn for...
Well, going, I guess, maybe in the theme of vampires. Movies that feature people eating weird shit.
Oh.
Ooh.
And I don't mean weird stuff like, oh, he had to eat an octopus. No. I didn't intend to do a boys reference there, but I guess I just did. But really weird stuff, like something oddly inorganic or something alien.
The stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, I like this idea. Do you have something already picked out? Is that why you're...
I might.
Yeah, this is a very specific...
This does feel very specific. This is going to be a real dig.
Okay, well, that means we are at the point where we are thanking everybody for liking and sharing posts, for donating money, for just saying nice things about us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Spread the word.
Absolutely. Anything else, guys? Or are we calling it a day?
No, I think that's it. Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thanks to everybody again. And we'll be back in 1 week. We're talking about weird food. Strange Eons Radio is artisanal quality podcasting, handcrafted with all natural ingredients, and edited to perfection by Eric Morgret. Our blistering theme song is Strange Eons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you enjoyed this episode, please consider dropping a positive review on Apple Podcasts.
Every part I watched, I was like, I feel like I shouldn't be watching this.